Hello, everyone. It's time for Vanished Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. I'm your host, Pete Costanis. This is episode 360, season 15. Today's date is September 7th, 2024, and welcome to the show. On today's program, I'm going to talk about my memories of riding in station wagons in the 1970s. Remember those? They were fun. And so I got a lot of memories of that. And also I'll do a tribute to musician Sergio Mendes, who just passed away on September 5th. He was from Brazil. And I'll talk about my memories of listening to his music and watching him on TV in Chicago. But right now, the program will go into a commercial break. And this program is brought to you by Nestea drink mix. And we all know the famous commercial for the Nestea Plunge. So this commercial is from 1977. I remember this very well. So sit back and relax, or have a glass of iced tea if you like. And I'll be right back with the program, folks. Thank you.
My throat is like a desert. I'm as dry as I can be. Got a thirst as big as Texas.
Come on, taste the taste of wetness. Take the Nestea Plunge. Soak your thirst with Nestea Instant Tea.
Nestea, it's the best wet yet.
So taste the taste of wetness. Take the Nestea Plunge.
Nestea is real tea, 100% tea. No wonder it's America's biggest selling instant.
Okay, everyone, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for Nestea drink mix. Commercials from 1977. It's a good product. I love iced tea. When I was a kid, I never liked it. You know what the funny thing is? I looked at it and it was kind of gross because it was brown and Of course, there were a lot of things I didn't need when I was a kid. I was so fussy. Still am in a way. But then I started drinking it and I loved it, and I still do. I haven't had it in a long time. So Nestea was owned by Nestle. It's owned by Nestle, of course, and that's been, it was introduced in 1948. But, it wasn't that popular until they started the commercials in the 1970s when they did the Nestea Plunge, when someone is drinking a glass of iced tea and, it's really hot outside and they're parched and it's scorched. The sun is scorching on you and all that. And then when you drink it, you just fall on your back and you fall into a pool that, a swimming pool that came out of nowhere. So it's funny. And so they came in drink mixes, but then it was also ready-made bottles, and it came in a couple flavors like half tea, half lemonade, or just tea, or sugar-free, I love it. I really do. I like it. It is, it's very, it quenches your thirst in the summertime. It really does. And if you want to add more lemon, if you pour in a glass, help yourself. My brother's a big fan of it. He loves iced tea. So yeah. But they removed the about 2019, they rebranded it as a natural product. They removed the corn syrup, the GMO, and all the artificial colors. I don't know how it would taste now. And it's made with stevia, the extract. That's like sweet stuff like that. I don't know. I haven't had it in a while. So, of course, the other one is Lipton. Or you have Arizona, which is pretty good. You get the 99-cent tall can like that. There were others, yeah. So that's good. Yeah, iced tea is great. I love it. I really do. Okay. At the beginning of the program, I mentioned I'm going to talk about my memories of the station wagons in the 1970s, and also I will do my tribute to Brazilian musician Sergio Mendes. Before I get started, I want to mention a couple things. I still get emails from people, suggesting, why don't you talk about this? Why don't you talk about that? There's one thing, there was one guy on Twitter, X, whatever, he's saying, why are you calling it Chicagoland? Don't call it Chicagoland. Call it Chicagoland area or the Chicago area, blah, blah, blah. I get this a lot. Look, I choose what I want. This is what I want. If you don't like it, too bad. He says, no, it's redundant. All right, fine. I noticed his profile on X, and, he's into politics and all that. That's where the most complaints come from people like that. I don't want to say anymore. You get the idea. So it seems like they have nothing better to do than complain. And they find a target. And I was a target. So I've always learned, and this is something, my father told me when he was alive, don't listen to people. Do what you want. Do what makes you happy. And he told me that. He really did. Of course, he always told me, go to school. Go to school. He told me to go to school every day. It drove me crazy. I felt like running away from home, and I couldn't take. But he had a point, because he didn't want me to end up like him, because he couldn't. His mother wouldn't allow him to go to school, because they were raised poor, and that was a really bad decision. And he regretted it ever since. And he did not want me and my brothers to be like him. To end up like that. We wanted to get an education, and he was right. And when we did, he was very proud of us. Of course, I had trouble, me. I had trouble, when I was growing up, I had trouble communicating. I was very shy, very scared. I was bullied. I had trouble with other people. I didn't have, faith, self-esteem. I felt people were nasty, call me names, you're useless. And that really didn't make me confident. And then I learned over the years, you just ignore it and just believe in yourself and have self-confidence. You'll be fine. It took me a long, long, long time to do that. Trust me, it's horrible. That's why I didn't have many friends growing up. And now it's changed because of Van Chicagoland. It took a long time for people to figure out to connect me to this account. And about 99% love it. They love what I do. They can't wait what I do next, and they're, and the other day I was at lunch, and a woman noticed me. She says, you're Van Chicago. And I go, yeah. And then she commented on my page. Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. It's nice. Like I said before, I don't seek out attention. I just be myself. Still am. That's very important. Very important indeed. On the health front, I'm doing okay. We'll see about end of October. I'll go see my doctor, my regular doctor, that is. The oncologist is in November. And my urologist in February. I got plenty of time. So, and also, this is something I told my mother this morning, that, there's studies like if you have a 5-year survival rate for prostate cancer, you're going to be pretty well. You're going to be okay. I hope so. You'll be like, it's 100%. I hope so. Keep your fingers crossed, and I need your prayers. One last thing I mentioned, this was big news that Anthony Rizzo came back to Wrigley Field. And he got a standing ovation. Everyone's clapping and all that. And he seems so happy like that. We have something in common. We're both cancer survivors. And he looks good. Hope he's doing well. I hope he's doing well, But he was so young when he got it. I think he had Hodgkin's disease, or lymphoma. So I pray for him too. Okay, let's get started. Station wagons in the 1970s. When I was a kid, I used to see them all the time in Chicago. when they're parked or when they're driven, or my mother took me to the grocery stores. They were there. And if you had a large family, this was perfect. This is pre-SUV. So they've been around for a long time. They've been around since, I don't know, maybe 40s or 50s or something like that. Yeah, something like that. And then, a lot of commercials aired with different kinds of makes and models. And they have, like, for example, Ford, Chevrolet, Buick, whatever, Pontiac, all those. And they all had their own station wagons, to compete. And they were very reliable. Not for driving, for putting stuff in the back. Like, for example, your kids or your groceries or any junk you have, or like you're hauling something away. Or when you let's say you're picking up a Christmas tree and you put it in there. It's perfect. Or you put it on top of your station wagon because it's kind of long. You put it on top of the car. Like that. And it was great. Can you imagine putting a Christmas tree in an SUV? No, not really. I mean, you could, but you got to tie it and all that. But the station wagons were long and they're roomy. And I used to see sometimes when people would go out camping or to an outing, and you invite other kids. And the kids would, sit in the back seats. And in the back of the station wagon, they all sit in the back and they're relaxed. No seat belts at the time. And, some of them were sticking out of the back window waving, hello, doing that. I saw that many times growing up. As for me, have I ridden one? Yes, few times, yeah. Have I ever owned one or my parents owned one? No, never. Never. We never owned one. It wasn't necessary. We always had a two-car. The first car we owned was two-door. It was a Mercury Montego from 1973 or something like that, or 72, 73. And a lot of people from my old neighborhood remember that car very well. It was sort of iconic in the neighborhood. And then, we got a four-door car, and we never owned a station wagon. It wasn't necessary, really. We always put the groceries in the trunk. Or if my mom went shopping by herself, she always, she put it in the trunk, sometimes in the back seat. She had room. Because, but it was happening in my old neighborhood, in the Ashburn neighborhood, that I saw them parked in the driveways and also driving around like that. And also on television, the ones I remember station wagons was from the Brady Bunch. They owned a station wagon, it was perfect because they had 6 kids, and Carol Brady and Alice would go shopping, or Carol Brady would go shopping herself, put the groceries in. And sometimes the kids would tag along, and then they sat in the back seat like that. Of course, there were unusual makes and models all through the years in the 70s. Some came, some went, and then it lasted to the 80s. In the 90s, of course, and then the SUV was introduced. That became popular. And then station wagons sort of faded away. They were gone. So that's kind of a shame, because one thing, when you mention the word, or it's 2 words, station wagon, kids today were like, will say, what? What is that? They wouldn't know what it is unless you show them a picture on your phone or wherever. And they think it's kind of weird, like the landline phone. So that's how it is. But I had great fondness of the station wagon, even though I never owned one, but it was a great vehicle in a way. And then the fun part of this is watching TV shows from the 60s and 70s, maybe not the 50s, but 60s and 70s when I grew up, and I see station wagons, which families own them, or like a family visiting, like that, seeing all kinds of cars. That was fun. It still is, when you tune into an old TV rerun like that. Okay. Right now, I'm going to play a commercial for a station wagon. This one is very, very unusual. And it's a commercial for AMC Pacer Wagon. Remember AMC cars? I did a podcast episode about the AMC cars a long time ago. If you can search for it, you can listen to it. This commercial is from 1978, and it's an AMC Pacer Wagon. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, that's what it's called. So sit back and relax, and then I will talk. And then when I come back, I'll talk about musician Sergio Mendes. Okay, thank you, everyone.
What is it about the owners of the AMC Pacer wagon that sets them apart?
My Pacer really makes heads turn. Plus, inside there's room you'd expect in a bigger car. Smart.
Rack and pinion steering, wide track, both in my Pacer wagon. Smart.
The short hood makes parking a snap, and I love the rear hatch and all the room in my wide Pacer. Smart.
The AMC Pacer wagon. It's big inside where it counts, and that makes its owners
Smart.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for AMC Pacer Wagon from 1978. What's different about the regular AMC Pacer? Well, it's a little longer, wider, I think. I'm not sure. Remember those cars? They look like you're driving a half-shell egg. Those are collector's items, that they really are. They were just one of the most unusual cars in the 20th century. I think the other one was the Edsel. That was like in the late 50s, so I could be wrong. Anyway, right now I'm going to talk about Sergio Mendes, and he passed away on September 5th. He was 84 years old, and he was a well-known musician from Brazil, and very talented man, very talented indeed. And I used to hear his name all the time growing up. I made the mistake when I posted his news of his death that he was a singer. Not really. He was a musician. He did sing. When he was accompanied by other singers. I seen him sing, but I never heard him. But he did play the piano, the organ, all kinds of instruments. So I guess I want to rephrase that. He was multi-talented. He really was indeed. So here's his biography really quick, and I'll tell you. So he was born. I can't say that word, Niterói, Brazil. That's like across from Guanabara Bay from Rio de Janeiro on February 11, 1941. And his father was a physician. And and then he started playing, at jazz clubs and like that. And he was hoping to be a classical pianist, play, probably Beethoven or Brahms or something like that. But he got an interest in jazz and started playing nightclubs. And, they had that music style called the bossa nova. Remember that? And that was very popular from the late 1950s to the 1960s. So then he got very popular, and then he moved to the United States in 1964, and he cut a couple of albums. One was called Sergio Mendes in Brazil '65, and that was okay. And then he appeared on television, he performed, and then he appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show, variety shows and all that, and he was a big hit. Then one of his famous albums was it was called Herb Albert Presents Sergio Mendes in Brazil '66. That one put him on the map, and it was a huge hit. And it was released in August of 1966. And the song that made famous for, which I'll pull it up and I'll explain, and it's Mas Que Nada. And it's a song, and it was originally recorded by a singer called George Ben. I think that's his name. Yeah. He was a very popular musician from Brazil. And let's see. So then when Sergio Mendes covered the song, and it hit the charts, and it was very popular indeed. And then people loved that album. They really loved that album, and so, people still buy this album, believe it or not. And it was the first time, a song in Portuguese was a big hit in America and all over the world. That's great. There were other songs that were on the album. So then he started recording like Beatles songs, like, for example, Fool on the Hill, or what's the other one? I'll find out the singles and I'll tell you, so let's see. With a Little Help from My Friends, that's from the Sgt. Pepper's album. And then he also recorded Night and Day. I think Frank Sinatra recorded that. Also Day Tripper. So like I said before, he didn't sing. He had two singers, and then he sang songs from Otis Redding, from Glenn Campbell, Norwegian Wood from the Beatles. So, and I'm sure there were originals that he wrote, some in English or Portuguese. He did that. And he still performed and all that. Then all of a sudden in the 1980s, he made a big comeback by two songs. One was from 1983 called Never Gonna Let You Go. I used to hit by the album. It was a very popular song. I heard it all the time like that. And the first time I heard this song, also watched it on Solid Gold. Remember that TV show that was on Channel 9 and WGN? That song hit the charts, and also he performed on the show, and he brought the two singers that sang that song, and they played this on, I think, WFYR. Yeah, they played that a lot. The adult contemporary station. Like that. So anyway, and then there was another song called Alibis, and that was in 1984. That song was also performed on Solid Gold as well. There are two videos. You can find the videos on YouTube if you care to watch, and it's wonderful. They don't play them much on the radio, and everyone's forgotten about it, which is pretty surprising. But I did see, like I said before, I did see him sing one of the time. But he was just a musician, basically like that. So he still continued to tour and all that, and that was great. Like, perform at concerts. Probably return to Brazil, like that. And let's see. In 2012, he was nominated for an Oscar for Best Original Song, and he was a co-writer for the song Rio from the animated film Rio, which is great. That's wonderful. I remember this movie like that. So he released about 55, he had like 55 releases, like that. Unfortunately, he had got COVID, and then that's what he died of. He died of long complications of long COVID on September 5th, on 2024. That's a shame. I don't know if he was vaccinated or not. I have no idea. At his age, so. But when I posted a photo of him, he was holding a T-shirt with the logo WNUA 95.5 FM in Chicago, where they played the smooth jazz music. A couple of decades ago. Excuse me. A lot of people remember the station, of course. They remember it, but they remember him. But they remember that album, the Brazil 66. They said they love that album. It's one of their favorites, and they play it all the time. I've listened to a couple of songs. Excuse me. That's pretty good. You can listen on YouTube if you like. That's great. Or you want to download it. So it was, that's wonderful. It really was. So, my condolences to the family, because he was unique. He really was a very unique musician. And he introduced like the bossa nova. I don't know if he introduced the bossa nova in the United States. Maybe someone else did, but it was introduced later on. So, because still popular. Maybe it's still popular in Brazil. Maybe not. Maybe they have other dances. I think the salsa or lambada, I forgot like that. So anyway, so that's my memories of listening to Sergio Mendes. Okay. Right now I'm going to do a recap of what I talked about today on today's program. Excuse me. I discussed about the station wagons. My memories of station wagons in the 1970s, and also my tribute to Brazilian musician Sergio Mendes. This podcast will be published later on today, wherever podcasts are available. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Overcast, Breaker. You can also listen on my blog, www.vanishchicagoland.blog. Also, it'll be on my, you go on the blog and you click on it and it'll take you right there to listen. Also, it'll be on my YouTube channel again and again and again. People ask me, where's your podcast? Where's your podcast? You can find it on YouTube. Do a search, Vanish Chicagoland Stories, or my name. Click on subscribe, and you can listen or get the latest notifications for a new episode. You can listen to previous episodes as you wish. They're all there, all 359. There'll be 360 this one. Also, be sure that my social media accounts: Facebook, X, LinkedIn, Reddit, Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, and TikTok. Okay, so that's it. I will probably do another podcast episode tomorrow. I think so. We'll see. I have to think about what I'm going to talk about. And so we will see. I'm still going to work on the Ray Rayner video and the story. No, not the the video and the podcast. I will do that soon. I'm just trying to find time, to do that. Okay. So, this is Pico Sinus, your host for Van Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. Thank you for joining me. Today is cold. It's in the 60s, but it's sunny. Thank God. It's just today is cold, and then tomorrow is Sunday. It'll be a little warmer. It'll be nice. It'll be 75. Of course, it's the Bears opener. Hope everyone have a good time watching it. We'll see. I'll watch the game, sort of. Yeah, but you know, it's season opener. It's a home opener. It's important to everyone. I hope everyone will enjoy it. Okay, so here's Bye Bye for me, and here's a little traveling music, featuring Ray Rayner saying bye, bye, bye. Take care, everyone, and so long.
We have to go. Bye, bye, bye.